Morocco and the Middle East share very tight ties. The Middle Eastern men and the Moroccan women share even tighter ties, which is driving the Middle Eastern women insane. The Middle East wasn't always a rich place, at least until they found oil, which was a boom for the economy and for people's pockets. With this newfound riches, what's better than to spend it than on things that feel good? Houses, cars, and women. This new upgraded lifestyle opened Middle Eastern people to the luxury of travel and to go all over the world for tourism. However, one place captured their hearts, and that's Morocco. Morocco and the Middle East share a lot of common history, and they're not so different today in terms of geography, in terms of religion, and in terms of conservativeness, which encourages many families every year to visit Morocco, like parents, grandparents, and grandchildren. And you can see them all over the place when you go to the souk or when you go to the beach. Up to 220,000 tourists come to Morocco every year from the Middle East. And counting, that's only 2022. However, the Middle East is kind of stricter than Morocco. Whereas we let many things slide, it's important here to apply the law, but we also apply what's known as the spirit of the law, which lets some things go under the radar when they're simple enough and not causing major harm. To a Middle Eastern, it's just like home, but just with less punishment. But the strictness of their countries is creating time bombs out of these people, especially men, because they're always seeking the dopamine of breaking the law. Bad things happen in the Middle East, but that's where the fun is. The financial boost in the Middle East meant that there's loads of jobs. Actually, too many jobs no one wants to do, ranging from housekeeping to construction, for example, which attracts a lot of people from poorer countries to travel there to go find work. Also, the visa is easier for the Middle East compared to, let's say, Japan or the US. And for us North Africans, the lingual barrier is also not there because we all speak Arabic as a native tongue. So many girls go there every year. Girls and guys go there every year to find work. The problems begin when they only take little money to spend, thinking that they will find a job as soon as they get there, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you have to look for a while. So when you spend all the money you took with you, you're gonna have to come up with money, and it's always hard to ask the parents because they barely scraped by to send you there, and now you're asking for spending money. And so you need food, rent is due. What's the easiest thing you can sell to come up with money for tomorrow? What value does a girl have other than the field she works in? Well, her body. So with the rise of this phenomenon, the Moroccan girls have been heavily stigmatized, and the problem is Algerian and Tunisian girls are not making it any easier for us because they always say we're actually Moroccan, we're not Tunisian or Algerian. Like, I know that the Egyptian girls would love to do that as well, but their accent is just very obvious. So due to that really heavy stigma, now when a Middle Eastern man texts you, the first thing he says is how much. They don't say hi, they don't say hello, just how much, because they know the pattern. And also with the rise of house workers and housekeepers being beaten, raped, accused of robbery, and sometimes even dying, some people prefer not to even go to that line of work if, prostitution is making them enough money. So now it even became a habit and a meme not to ask someone, like, what's your sister doing, for example, in Dubai or the Emirates or Saudi Arabia, when they go there for work, because you really don't want to embarrass people. So you just say, oh, she went to Emirates, okay, good, she's working, great, good for her. So you don't really start delving into details about what type of work she does, and this is not always the case. This is not always the scenario that's out there. Some girls did manage to find work, or their parents had enough money to support them to look for a proper job, and they did find it, and now they're doing that job, an honorable, decent job that they went there to do. As for the girls that did decide to stay in Morocco, not to go to a different country to find a job, they are no exception to this phenomenon of grabbing money from Middle Eastern men. So for the girls who finished their studies and are looking for work inside the country and decided not to leave, They're also victims of falling for the trap of Middle Eastern men for money. I don't know if they're victims. Finding work in Morocco is not easy. You need connections. You need, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I gave up, honestly. But the need for money is constant and it's always there. You need everything in this world, and let's begin with tampons. It's embarrassing to reach a certain age and still go, Dad, can I have money for whatever, you know? So some girls are doing what known as E-prostitution, just like email, ebook. Well, now we have e-prostitution. It's a fairly new topic. It's not something that's been going on for years. It's fairly still new, like 5 years now. Ever wonder how your friend who never leaves the house, not rich, always wears new clothing, always has new phones, always has new accessories, is coming up with that money? Well, it's not all with her boyfriend. She's actually working, but from home. E-prostitution, in brief, is working from the phone on an app in which you have to call men to do certain things. Men pay for these apps to be able to call the girls. And the longer you can keep a man in a call, entertaining him or whatever, the longer you can keep him in a call, the more points you collect, so you can redeem them in the end of the week for money. But what if someone records the screen? It's useless. It's useless because one of the policies of these apps is not to show your face, so you can only show from the neck down, which kind of makes the purpose of the app very obvious. Most of these apps are full of Middle Eastern men and North African men. These men are in a mood and they have disposable income. And it's usually a known fact wherever there's Middle Easterns on an app, there's a lot of money circling. For example, let's take TikTok's challenges. Those people spend like crazy on gifting creators for doing stupid things. Also, let's not forget Dubai's Porta Potty. I don't know if you guys remember that or even know what that is, but we'll explain it. Basically, what this means is that men would, like businessmen, rich men, use Instagram as a catalog to browse beautiful women and to see which one they like. They send them a DM, direct message, telling them that they will fly them on their private jet to go all the way to Dubai, to their villa or castle or whatever, in exchange for illimited shopping. You can go buy whatever you want, whatever brand, and you get 30 up to $50,000 cash for helping them with their fetish, which includes defecating on the people. I don't know if you guys saw the video on Twitter or not. I saw it a few times. And it's ugly. But again, my sympathies goes to those people because the level of desperation that... And it's different if you're doing it out of desperation than if you are doing it to get the latest Birkin bag and to take pictures on private jets. So you have to eat their poo-poo, you have to do things with their animals as well. And there's a lot of dirt that goes into this, like for example, preventing the girls, like they would have 3 to 4 girls in one room, for example, other models, and they would all be covered in feces for days. They're not allowed to take showers. Now these men get off this stuff. They enjoy that. That's what they want to see women go through, like gorgeous Instagram model women. And yeah, that's how they can afford all these things. And now that it's out in the public, people know, and it's nasty. I don't know if people can go to Dubai as easy anymore. I heard somewhere that they made it very, very difficult for women to just travel there out of nowhere. Just because, Dubai is like, well, it's supposed to be a conservative place, but then you have these people disrupting and showing a lifestyle that Muslims don't want to associate with. I'm going to link down below a website which exposes all these girls. You guys can read the private messages and how things go if you really want to confirm this more. Also, this video is not me trying to scold the girls. It's more the guys to blame because they are the ones with the money sponsoring and creating a market for these things to happen. And so Morocco just happens to be one of the destinations these men come to. And it just so happens to have the beauty ideal that it wishes in women. But it's not all women, of course. It's not even a majority. Like, some girls don't even think of stepping into the world, into the lifestyle. It's like, yeah, we're curious, like, what's going on in there. We enjoy the stories, the failure, the success, but we just, like, peep onto it and back off. You don't want to get sucked into that. And same goes for Middle Eastern men. Like, some of them who are doing well off are actually doing really good things in this world, and you can't just mash everyone together and say they're all bad. No, some men in the Middle East are amazing. And so the fact that these moralities that are aligned together also makes Morocco a destination for them to come find wives here. But what's so special about Moroccan women in this case? Like we mentioned in the beginning of the video, the financial boom did not just boom on men, it also did on women. Which means these women grew up in great privilege and luxury. They grew up with multiple mates, multiple cars, houses, vacations, gold whenever they feel like it. They have gardeners, drivers, designers. And so when they want to get married, their dowries are also high. Also a huge wedding and an awesome, amazing honeymoon, which is all on the expense of the man, who in the end doesn't even receive a word of thank you or gratitude because for her, that's what she's used to, that's her normal, and he can never go below that. But one thing I will not say is that Moroccan girls are prettier than Arab girls. That is not the truth. Of course the genetic pool is different, but you can find beauty in both cases. Like hell, I tried really hard for this makeup and I still look the same. So there's beauty in both places. By contrast, girls in Morocco grew up modest, with nothing much to their name. They lived simply most of their lives, and here this is one of the countries where, having a car is actually something special, let alone a driver. And also that means that their dowries aren't so high as the Middle Eastern women. The cost of the wedding is cheaper because things are cheaper in Morocco, and of course the currency is weaker. And also the things that she has to take with her are also going to be much cheaper, so he's spending like half of, or even less of what he would be spending on a Middle Eastern girl. And also she's going to be impressed, and she's trying so many things for the first time in her life, which means that the man would also be happy because he feels like he's finally exposing her, like he's finally being Prince Charming, like he is able to be Prince Charming to someone. And this is what I noticed with men, honestly, from my own experience, is that they like a discounted beauty that is grateful. So, yeah. So by marrying an empress, how can you impress her? They usually go for the modest girl that's had a pretty average upbringing. Like, so much so that men even go on TikTok to start expressing and venting their frustration of how ungrateful and nagging Middle Eastern women are. This is not me speaking, by the way. So in the end, they come to Morocco for, to places like Morocco. I'm not just gonna say this one country, so they can find second, third wives in here, which isn't always good because it happens sometimes illegally, which leads to this mess that I will link somewhere up here for you to watch. And also it makes Arab women resent us Moroccan, calling us witches and husband thieves. And they start to hate themselves in what they look like why don't I have her complexion or this or that. And we find that they kind of have this little obsession. It's not a huge one, but it's a little obsession of, things like Moroccan routine beauties, like hammam routine, which I will also try to link somewhere, making their complexions fair, and also a lot of plastic surgery for their noses. I'll tell you one thing about a Moroccan hammam that will not make you white. Trust me, I know. It's a good way to exfoliate, but that's it. However, the tides have kind of shifted ever since 2016. The rate of marriage slowed down. Meanwhile, the rate of divorces have soared. I don't know what's behind it, but people have many faces. Like, who you're dating is not who you're gonna marry. Like, yeah, same person, but different personality. People change. For example, the man would marry you for years, have kids with you, everything, and then one day decide to go visit his hometown, and in there he will marry his cousin and break up with you over text. Or he takes the kids away and sends you home alone, then divorces you. And so now you can't go back to the country. And sometimes the women bring the kids back to Morocco, family visit, file for divorce, and ask for alimony. So none of them is innocent, really. So whether you find beauty in people from your own country or idealize people's beauty from other countries, it's really up to you. But a calculated risk is always better than a risk that's being led by ignorance. And just because your marriage didn't work out with a Moroccan woman, it doesn't mean that all women from that country are bad. So don't lose hope and sign prenups.